They humiliated the young cowboy, but 300 Apache warriors came to honor his heart. The young cowboy lived on the quiet edge of a small town, where open land met wide blue skies. Every morning he woke up before the sun rose. The air was cool and calm, and the world felt peaceful at that hour. He liked that feeling. It reminded him that each day was a fresh start. He worked long hours on the ranch, caring for the horses, fixing fences, and helping wherever he was needed. His hands were often rough from hard work, and his clothes were simple, but his heart was steady and kind. He was not the loudest person in town. He did not try to show off or compete with others. Many young men in the area liked to prove how tough they were. They would ride fast, speak loudly, and try to gain attention. The young cowboy was different. He believed that real strength was quiet. He believed that a person's actions spoke louder than words. Because of this belief, some people misunderstood him. The town was close to land where the Apache community lived. For many years, there had been distance between the town and the tribe. Most people stayed in their own groups. There were old stories and old opinions that created walls between them. But the young cowboy did not believe in those walls. When he met members of the Apache community, he greeted them with respect. He looked them in the eyes and spoke politely. He believed all people deserved kindness. Some townspeople noticed this. At first, they were surprised. Then they began to whisper. They said he was too friendly. They said he should not spend time helping others outside the town. A few even joked about him. They thought he was weak because he did not join their negative talk. The young cowboy heard some of these comments, but he did not respond with anger. He knew that arguing would not solve anything. Instead, he focused on his work and his values. One season, the ranch faced a difficult time. There had been little rain, and the land was dry. Food and supplies became harder to manage. During this period, some families in the nearby area also struggled. The young cowboy noticed this. Without making a big announcement, he decided to help. He shared extra water when he could. He offered support in small ways. Sometimes he helped repair tools or gave advice about caring for animals. He never asked for payment. He never told others about his actions. He believed help should come from the heart, not for attention. Members of the Apache community began to notice his behavior. They saw that he was honest. When he promised something, he kept his word. When he borrowed something, he returned it in good condition. He did not judge them, and he did not speak with disrespect. Slowly, trust began to grow. Some families felt comfortable speaking with him about daily matters. He listened carefully and treated their words as important. Back in town, however, not everyone understood this change. A group of local men believed that the cowboy was acting differently from what they expected. They thought he should only focus on town matters. During gatherings, they sometimes made comments about him. They questioned his loyalty. They laughed at his calm nature. They believed that a cowboy should always appear bold and aggressive. Because he did not behave that way, they decided to test him in public. One afternoon, during a community event, the young cowboy was present. The atmosphere was lively, and many people were talking. The group of men began speaking loudly near him. They made comments meant to embarrass him. They tried to make others laugh at his expense. The young cowboy felt the weight of their words. It was not easy to stand there while others tried to shame him. His heart felt heavy and his face became serious. But he did not shout back. He did not argue. Instead, he stayed calm. Some people in the crowd watched closely. They expected him to react. They thought he might lose control or walk away in anger, but he chose another path. He looked at the ground for a moment, took a deep breath, and then stepped aside. His quiet response surprised many. Even those who had been laughing felt uncertain. His silence was stronger than any insult. After the event, he returned to his ranch. That evening, he sat outside and watched the sunset. The sky turned shades of orange and pink. He thought about what had happened. It was painful to be misunderstood. It was difficult to feel judged. But he reminded himself why he chose kindness. He believed that good character was more important than approval from others. He decided not to change who he was just to please people who did not understand him. Meanwhile, word of the event began to spread beyond the town. Members of the Apache community had heard about how he was treated. They knew about his silent help and steady respect. To them, his character was clear. He did not speak against anyone. He did not try to divide people. Instead, he built small bridges through daily actions. The elders discussed his behavior and the importance of recognizing true heart. They felt that honor should not be ignored. In their tradition, respect was given to those who showed courage through actions and kindness. The young cowboy had done exactly that. He had helped during hard times without seeking praise. He had treated others fairly. The elders decided that his character deserved recognition. Back in town, the cowboy continued his routine. He did not expect anything in return for his kindness. He believed that doing the right thing was its own reward. Each day, he worked hard and stayed humble. Even though some people still whispered, others began to notice his steady nature. They saw that he remained consistent. He did not change depending on who was watching. This period became a turning point. The young cowboy did not know it yet, but his actions were building something greater than he imagined. Trust was growing quietly. Respect was forming slowly. The seeds of understanding had been planted, and they would soon grow into something powerful. As the days passed, the connection between him and the Apache community became stronger. Conversations became more open. Small acts of cooperation increased. The young cowboy remained humble through it all. He continued to believe that kindness and respect could bring people together. Little did he know, the choices he made during these simple days would soon lead to an event that would change how the entire town saw him. His quiet strength had already spoken louder than any insult, and the story of his heart was only beginning. The days after the public event felt different for the young cowboy. Even though he tried to stay focused on his work, he could feel that some people were still talking about what had happened. He did not ask others what they were saying. He believed that listening to rumors would only bring stress. Instead, he continued his daily routine with the same calm attitude. He woke up early, fed the horses, cleaned the barn, and checked the fences around the land. Hard work kept his mind clear. Still, deep inside, the memory of the humiliation stayed with him. He was human, and words had hurt him. When he was alone, he sometimes replayed the scene in his mind. He wondered why some people felt the need to embarrass others. He did not understand how making someone feel small could bring happiness. But he reminded himself that not everyone thinks the same way. He chose to focus on his own values rather than the behavior of others. Meanwhile, something important was happening beyond the town. Members of the nearby Apache community had heard in detail about how the young cowboy had been treated. They did not like the way he had been spoken to. In their culture, respect was very important. They believed that a person's heart and actions showed their true worth. Many elders felt that the cowboy had shown great character. He had helped their families quietly and had never asked for praise. To them, this was a sign of real honor. The elders gathered to discuss the situation. They spoke calmly and carefully. They shared stories of how the young man had assisted during difficult times. One family talked about how he had shared supplies without hesitation. Another shared how he had helped repair equipment so that daily life could continue smoothly. These stories were not about large actions. They were about small moments of kindness. But together, they painted a clear picture of his character. As the discussion continued, the leaders felt a strong sense of gratitude. They believed that when someone shows true respect, it should be returned in the same way. They did not want to ignore the kindness that had been given to them. After long conversation, they decided that the young cowboy should be honored. Not because he expected it, but because he deserved it. At first, some younger members were surprised by this idea. They asked why such attention was needed. The elders explained that honor is not about size or noise. It is about truth. If someone stands firm in their values, even when treated unfairly, that person shows strength. The cowboy had done exactly that. He had not reacted with anger. He had not insulted anyone back. His calm behavior had shown maturity. Once the decision was made, preparations began. Word spread quietly among the Apache community. Messages were sent carefully from one group to another. The purpose was not to create conflict, but to gather peacefully. The plan was to visit the town and show respect to the young man in front of everyone. The elders wanted the town to understand his true character. Back in town, the cowboy continued his work, unaware of the growing plan. One evening, while he was fixing a broken fence, he noticed a few riders passing in the distance. He did not think much of it. The land was shared by many and movement was normal. He continued working until sunset. However, over the next few days, more riders were seen traveling together. They moved in an organized and calm manner. They were not carrying signs of anger. Their behavior was steady and peaceful. some townspeople began to notice the large number of visitors. Whispering started again, but this time the tone was different. People wondered what was happening. The young cowboy remained focused. He did not try to guess the reason for the gatherings. He believed that if something important was meant for him to know, it would become clear in time. He trusted patience. One morning, the town became unusually quiet. People stepped outside their homes to see a large group approaching. The group was organized and moved with discipline. It was clear that they had traveled a long distance together. The sight was impressive, not because of fear, but because of unity. They entered the area with calm presence. The young cowboy heard the news while working at the ranch. At first, he thought there must be a misunderstanding. He walked toward the edge of town to see for himself. As he reached the open space, he saw a large gathering forming. The visitors stood in respectful formation. The atmosphere was serious but peaceful. The townspeople watched carefully. They did not understand why so many people had come. Some felt nervous while others felt curious. The young cowboy stood quietly, not knowing what to expect. His heart was beating faster, but he kept his expression steady. Soon, one of the elders stepped forward. He spoke in a clear voice so that everyone could hear. The elder explained that they had come to honor a man whose heart had shown kindness and respect. He spoke about the small acts of help the cowboy had given without seeking attention. He described how those actions had made a real difference in their community. As the elder spoke, the young cowboy felt both surprised and emotional. He had never imagined being recognized in this way. He had simply done what he believed was right. Hearing his actions described publicly made him feel humble. The elder continued, explaining that true strength is not about loud words or pride. It is about consistency, patience, and honesty. He said that the cowboy had shown these qualities during difficult times. The gathering listened carefully. The message was clear and powerful. When the speech ended, members of the group stepped forward one by one. They offered a sign of respect. The gesture was simple but meaningful. The young cowboy felt deeply moved. He understood that this moment was not about him alone. It was about building understanding between communities. The townspeople watched in silence. Many of them felt a change in their hearts. They began to realize that their earlier judgment had been based on appearance, not character. Seeing the peaceful gathering opened their eyes. They understood that respect had been earned through actions, not words. The young cowboy finally spoke. His voice was calm. He thanked everyone for their kindness. He explained that he never expected recognition. He said that helping others was something he would continue to do no matter who noticed. His words were simple but sincere. The gathering ended peacefully. The visitors prepared to return home. Before leaving, they shook hands with the cowboy and exchanged friendly gestures. The event left a lasting impression on the town. It became clear that unity was stronger than division. That day marked a turning point. The humiliation that once felt heavy was replaced with honor. The young cowboy realized that patience had protected him. He understood that staying true to his values had led to something greater than he could have planned. The experience taught everyone present that respect grows from kindness, and kindness can travel further than we imagine. From that moment on, the relationship between the town and the Apache community began to improve. Conversations became more open. Mutual understanding slowly replaced suspicion. The young cowboy continued his life with humility, but now with renewed confidence. He knew that staying calm and respectful had changed not only his own future, but also the connection between two groups of people. After the peaceful gathering, life in the town slowly began to change. People could not stop talking about what they had seen. Many were still surprised that such a large group had come only to show respect. The young cowboy did not feel proud in a loud way, but he felt grateful. He returned to his daily work as usual. He believed that life should continue with humility, no matter what had happened the day before. In the following weeks, the cowboy noticed that some townspeople looked at him differently. A few who once laughed now avoided eye contact. Others gave small nods of respect when they passed by. The event had made them think deeply. They realized that they had judged him too quickly. It was not easy for them to admit this, but the memory of the peaceful gathering stayed in their minds. The young cowboy did not hold any negative feelings. He knew that people can learn and grow. He believed that everyone makes mistakes. Instead of reminding others about their past behavior, he chose to act kindly. When someone asked him for help, he responded without hesitation. When a neighbor needed support, he offered it quietly. His actions remained steady and simple. Meanwhile, the connection between the town and the Apache community continued to grow stronger. After the gathering, there were more peaceful visits. People from both sides began to trade goods in a friendly way. Conversations became more relaxed. The elders from the Apache community sometimes visited the town to speak about cooperation and understanding. These visits helped remove fear and replace it with trust. The young cowboy played an important role in this change. Because he was respected by both groups, he became a natural bridge between them. When misunderstandings started, he would listen carefully and speak calmly. He never took sides in a negative way. Instead, he focused on solutions. His ability to stay neutral helped prevent small problems from becoming bigger issues. One day, a small disagreement happened between two young men in town and a few visitors. The situation was not serious at first, but emotions began to rise. The young cowboy heard about it and decided to step in. He walked toward the group with a calm expression. He did not raise his voice. Instead, he asked everyone to speak one at a time. His tone was gentle but firm. He reminded them that respect must guide their actions. He explained that words spoken in anger can cause harm, even if that was not the intention. He encouraged both sides to listen to each other carefully. Because of his calm leadership, the situation was solved peacefully. Both groups agreed to move forward without holding on to negative feelings. This moment showed the town that the cowboy was not only kind, but also wise. People began to see that strength is not only about physical ability. It is also about patience, understanding, and self-control. His example slowly influenced others. Young people in town started to think differently about respect and friendship. At the ranch, the cowboy continued his daily tasks with dedication. He trained horses, repaired equipment, and helped manage the land. His work was important, and he took it seriously. The success of the ranch depended on teamwork. Because of his leadership, the workers felt motivated. They trusted him and followed his example of honesty and fairness. During this time, the relationship with the Apache community became even more meaningful. Families began visiting each other for simple gatherings. They shared meals, stories, and ideas. The young cowboy sometimes attended these meetings. He listened more than he spoke. He learned about traditions, history, and values. These lessons helped him understand the importance of unity. The elders noticed his interest and appreciated it. They saw that he was not there for attention. He was there to learn and grow. This attitude made him even more respected. In many cultures, a person who listens carefully is seen as wise. The cowboy's willingness to learn showed that he valued knowledge from all sources. Back in town, some people who had once criticized him felt regret. They saw how his actions had brought positive change. They realized that their earlier behavior had been based on assumptions. Instead of defending their past words, they quietly observed his conduct. Over time, many of them began to treat him with genuine respect. The young cowboy did not demand apologies. He believed that actions matter more than words. If someone changed their behavior, that was enough for him. He continued to greet everyone kindly, whether they had supported him before or not. His consistency made his character strong and reliable. As seasons changed, the land around the town also changed. There were times of heavy rain and times of bright sunshine. Through it all, cooperation between communities remained steady. When help was needed during storms, both groups worked together. They shared tools and labor. The young cowboy often joined these efforts. His presence made teamwork easier. Children in the town and in the nearby community began to see each other more often. They played together during gatherings. They learned that differences do not have to create distance. The adults noticed this positive change and felt hopeful for the future. The young cowboy felt happy seeing this progress, even though he never claimed credit for it. One evening, while sitting outside his ranch, he reflected on everything that had happened. He remembered the humiliation, the gathering, and the changes that followed. He understood that every difficult moment had led to growth. If he had reacted with anger in the beginning, the outcome might have been very different. His patience had opened doors that anger could have closed. He also realized that honor is not something you chase. It is something that finds you when you live honestly. The respect he received was not because he wanted it, but because he earned it naturally through his behavior. This understanding gave him inner peace. The town slowly transformed into a place where conversations replaced rumors. People became more careful with their words. They understood that public judgment can hurt someone deeply. The young cowboy's experience taught them to think before speaking. His calm example became a silent lesson for many. Although he never sought recognition, the story of his character spread beyond the town. Travelers who passed through would hear about the event and share it elsewhere. They spoke about the young man who remained calm under pressure and was later honored by hundreds. His story became an example of dignity and respect. Through all of this, the cowboy stayed the same person he had always been. He continued waking up early, caring for animals, helping neighbors, and treating everyone with fairness. The attention did not change his habits. He believed that true character is proven over time, not in a single moment. By the end of this chapter in his life, the town and the nearby community had built a stronger bond. Trust had replaced doubt. Cooperation had replaced distance, and it all began with one young man who chose kindness instead of anger. His steady heart continued to guide him forward, setting the stage for even greater changes ahead. As time passed, the story of the young cowboy continued to grow in the hearts of the people. What once started as a moment of humiliation had now turned into a story of respect and unity. The town had changed in small but important ways. People were more careful with their words. They thought before speaking. Many realized that judging someone too quickly can lead to regret. The cowboy's calm behavior had quietly influenced everyone around him. The relationship between the town and the nearby Apache community became stronger with each passing week. Trade between them increased in a peaceful way. Families met during community gatherings. There were shared events where both groups came together to talk, learn, and understand each other better. These meetings were simple, but they carried deep meaning. They helped remove fear and replace it with trust. The young cowboy never tried to become the center of attention. Even after being honored, he continued to live a simple life. He believed that true character is shown in daily actions, not in special events. Each morning, he worked on the ranch with the same dedication. He fed the animals, repaired equipment, and helped his workers. His routine stayed steady, and that steadiness inspired others. One day, during a community gathering, an elder from the Apache community spoke about the importance of unity. He explained that respect grows when people choose understanding over pride. He reminded everyone that differences should not divide neighbors. Instead, differences can make communities stronger if they are handled with care. The young cowboy listened quietly. He felt grateful to hear such wisdom shared openly in the town. After the speech, several townspeople approached the cowboy to thank him for his example. Some admitted that they had misunderstood him in the past. They said they had learned valuable lessons from his patience. The cowboy responded kindly to each person. He did not bring up old events. He simply accepted their words with humility. His forgiving nature helped others feel comfortable. Meanwhile, the younger generation was watching closely. Children and teenagers noticed how the cowboy treated everyone equally. They saw that he did not speak differently to one group or another. His behavior taught them that fairness is important. Some young people began to copy his example. They started showing more respect to neighbors and listening more carefully during discussions. At the ranch, teamwork improved. Workers felt proud to be part of something that represented cooperation. The cowboy encouraged open communication among the staff. If someone had an idea, he listened carefully. If there was a problem, he helped find a solution calmly. This leadership style created a positive environment. People felt valued and respected. There were still occasional misunderstandings between individuals, but now they were handled differently. Instead of turning into arguments, issues were discussed calmly. The cowboy often acted as a mediator. His presence alone helped lower tension. People trusted him because they knew he would be fair. He never favored one side unfairly. He always tried to understand both perspectives. During this time, the Apache community also shared parts of their culture with the town. They organized peaceful demonstrations of traditional crafts and storytelling. These events were not meant to create distance, but to build understanding. The town learned about history, values, and traditions that were new to them. The cowboy attended these gatherings whenever possible. He believed that learning from others was a sign of respect. One evening, after a long community event, several leaders from both sides met to discuss the future. They wanted to ensure that cooperation would continue. The young cowboy was invited to join the discussion. At first, he felt that he did not deserve such a role. But the elders insisted that his character made him a natural representative of unity. He agreed to participate, not for personal gain, but to support peaceful progress. During the meeting, ideas were shared about improving communication. Plans were discussed to hold regular gatherings. These gatherings would focus on cooperation, shared goals, and community growth. The cowboy suggested keeping the meetings simple and open to everyone. He believed transparency would prevent misunderstandings. The leaders agreed that openness was important. As these plans were put into action, trust continued to grow. People felt more comfortable visiting each other's areas. Families who once kept distance now greeted one another warmly. The town became known as a place where different groups could work together peacefully. This positive reputation spread slowly, bringing visitors who were curious about the transformation. The young cowboy remained humble through all of this. He did not see himself as a hero. He believed that everyone played a part in the change. He often said that progress happens when people choose respect over pride. His words were simple, but they carried weight because they matched his actions. One important change during this period was the improvement of communication between young people from both communities. They began participating in joint activities such as learning events and outdoor gatherings. These activities focused on cooperation and teamwork. The cowboy sometimes helped organize them. He believed that when young minds learn unity early, the future becomes brighter. The ranch also benefited from the improved relationships. There were shared efforts during busy seasons. When extra help was needed, volunteers came forward willingly. This cooperation made work easier and built stronger bonds. The cowboy always expressed gratitude for the assistance. He made sure everyone felt appreciated. Over time, the earlier humiliation became just a memory. It no longer defined him. Instead, his calm response became the defining moment. People often referred to his example when discussing patience and dignity. His story was shared during gatherings as a reminder that respect can change situations for the better. Even though he never sought recognition, the cowboy understood that his actions had meaning. He realized that staying true to his values had not only protected his reputation, but also helped improve relationships between communities. This understanding gave him quiet satisfaction. He felt that his efforts had made a positive difference. As the season approached its end, the town held another peaceful celebration to mark the continued unity between the groups. This event was smaller than the first gathering, but it was filled with warmth. Families from both sides attended. There was music, shared food, and friendly conversations. The atmosphere was relaxed and hopeful. During the celebration, the young cowboy stood among the crowd, observing the smiles around him. He felt proud of the progress everyone had made together. He understood that change does not happen overnight. It requires patience, understanding, and consistent effort. Looking around, he saw proof that kindness had created real impact. By the end of this chapter, the town had transformed in spirit. The once divided community now worked together more closely. The cowboy's journey from humiliation to honor had become a lesson for all. His steady heart, calm words, and respectful actions had built bridges that would remain strong for years to come. After many months of peaceful cooperation, the town felt like a different place. The air seemed lighter, and conversations were warmer. The young cowboy continued his life with the same simple habits. He still woke up early, worked hard on the ranch, and treated everyone with respect. Even though many people now admired him, he did not change his behavior. He believed that kindness should not depend on attention. It should remain constant. The memory of the first humiliation was no longer painful. Instead, it had become a reminder of how far the community had come. People sometimes spoke about that moment as a turning point. They would say that it showed the true character of the young man. He had chosen patience when others expected anger. That decision had shaped the future in a positive way. As time moved forward, the relationship between the town and the Apache community became stronger than ever. Regular meetings continued. These gatherings were not formal or complicated. They were simple discussions about shared goals, daily challenges, and ways to help one another. The young cowboy attended whenever he was invited, but he never demanded a position of leadership. The elders respected his humility. They valued his opinion because he listened carefully before speaking. One important change during this period was the improvement in trust among young people. Children from both communities played together more often. They learned each other's stories and traditions. Schools and community spaces began to welcome everyone equally. The cowboy felt proud when he saw this progress, but he never claimed credit. He believed that many people had worked together to make this possible. At the ranch, his workers noticed that the positive changes in town were also helping their daily tasks. When extra hands were needed during busy seasons, volunteers came from both sides without hesitation. Cooperation made work smoother. Problems were solved faster because people were willing to communicate openly. The cowboy encouraged this teamwork by staying calm and fair in every situation. There were moments when disagreements still happened, but they were handled differently now. Instead of turning into arguments, people discussed issues respectfully. The cowboy often reminded others that listening is just as important as speaking. He believed that understanding another person's point of view can prevent many misunderstandings. His example helped others learn this lesson. One day, a small event was organized to celebrate the continued unity between the communities. It was not a large festival, but it carried deep meaning. Families gathered in an open field near the town. There was simple music, shared food, and friendly conversation. The atmosphere was peaceful and joyful. The young cowboy stood quietly among the crowd, observing the smiles around him. During the event, an elder from the Apache community spoke again. He explained that true honor is not about recognition or awards. It is about the impact a person leaves on others. He said that the cowboy's steady behavior had changed the hearts of many. The elder also reminded everyone that unity must be protected with care. Trust can grow slowly, but it can be lost quickly if people forget respect. The town listened carefully. Many remembered how things used to be before the change. They realized that without the cowboy's calm example, the situation might have become worse. Instead, his patience had created a path toward understanding. The event ended with warm greetings and shared promises to continue working together. As years passed, the young cowboy became known not just as a hardworking rancher, but as a symbol of quiet strength. Travelers who passed through the town often heard his story. They were told how he remained respectful even when treated unfairly, and how a peaceful gathering of many warriors honored his heart. People admired the way he responded to challenges without losing control. Despite this attention, he stayed humble. He never spoke about himself in a proud way. When someone praised him, he would smile and thank them politely, then quickly shift the conversation to others who had helped improve the community. He believed that progress was a team effort. This attitude made people respect him even more. The ranch continued to grow steadily. Because of improved relationships, trade and cooperation became easier. Supplies were shared fairly. Work was divided in a balanced way. This stability helped both communities feel secure. The young cowboy's leadership style created confidence among workers and neighbors alike. One evening, while sitting outside and watching the sunset, he reflected on his journey. He thought about how everything had started with misunderstanding. If he had responded with anger that day, the outcome might have been very different. Instead, he chose calmness. That choice had led to respect, friendship, and unity. He felt grateful for the lessons he had learned. He also understood that his journey was not just about himself. It was about showing that kindness can overcome doubt. His story proved that patience can transform relationships. The young cowboy hoped that others would remember this lesson in their own lives. He believed that every person has the ability to choose respect, no matter the situation. The town gradually became known as a place of harmony. Visitors noticed the friendly atmosphere. They saw people from different backgrounds working side by side. This reputation brought positive attention. However, the cowboy remained focused on his daily responsibilities. He did not let praise distract him from his duties. As the seasons continued to change, so did the community's understanding. Trust between the town and the Apache community became natural, not forced. It felt normal for families to interact and cooperate. The earlier division seemed like a distant memory. The young cowboy's steady heart had helped guide this transformation. In time, he realized that the greatest reward was not the public honor he received. The true reward was the peaceful environment that now surrounded him. Seeing neighbors help one another and children grow up without fear of misunderstanding gave him deep satisfaction. He knew that these improvements would last longer than any single event. The story of the young cowboy became a lesson shared by parents with their children. They explained that character is built through consistent actions. They told them that respect must be given before it is expected. The community used his example to teach future generations about patience, fairness, and unity. As this final chapter of the journey unfolded, the cowboy remained the same simple and humble person he had always been. The humiliation that once hurt him had turned into a powerful lesson for everyone. The gathering of honor had transformed relationships, and the ongoing cooperation had built a stronger future. In the end, his heart had become the true reason for change. Not his words, not his strength, but his steady kindness had created a lasting bond between communities. And as the sun set over the wide land once more, it symbolized a future built on respect, trust, and shared hope.